All right, Savannah, good afternoon, and welcome to the Savannah Business Showcase. I am your host, Therese, and I am here this morning with a very special guest. My first sort of repeat guest, sort of not repeat guest. We on another show together. We go way back, like 2 months now. So it's good to have you back, Ms. Bonnie Horwath.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you are the owner of SNS, Social Networking Solutions.
That's right.
You have a new website out.
I do.
Yoursocialnetwork.solutions. Is that correct? So for the listeners who didn't hear you on Real Estate Real Talk, I want to definitely do the first question again. So the first scenario. I don't know if you'll keep the same answer or change it up, but
okay.
So you walk through your neighborhood, a little kid comes up to you and says, "Bonnie, you're my hero. How can I be like you when I grow up?" So in the language that a 10 or 12-year-old can understand, what does it take to be Miss Bonnie Horwath?
It's pretty much, it is going to be the same answer. It's never give up. When you find something that you love and you want to pursue it, no matter how many no's you get or how many times people tell you can't do something, that's the big C word for me is, don't ever say can't. It's you can do it. You may have an obstacle, so you overcome it. So just never give up. Keep going after your dream.
Beautiful. Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of how we both ended up here, right? Just not giving up.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from New Jersey. I moved down here about 2.5 years ago, and I'm also a dance teacher in the evenings, which is a great sort of part-time passion of mine. But I wanted to find my spot here. I wanted to find something that I could call my own, and I was working for a small company, and I handled their social media, and it's something that I fell into years ago. That all started with real estate, which is why you had me on the real estate show, back when MySpace was around. So giving our age away there a little bit. But yeah, I just decided that I wanted to do that for other people, not just a single company, because I knew I could do more to help local businesses. And that's what I did. I created Social Network Solutions, and I help small business owners run their social media, whether it's through social media management, consulting, and I actually brought on a web designer with me. She does UX web design, design, anything that you need. And that's how it all started.
Awesome. So right off the bat, what's one thing business owners can do right now to improve their social media presence?
Be human. They have to humanize their brand. In today's world, so many people are using corporate mantras of, we understand your feelings, and I can understand how that would upset you. And we're tired of hearing it, and you get hung up on constantly. So by being human online in social media, that's bringing forth the person behind the company, not just the company hide behind, which is very important, especially with a local business.
Is it possible to be, first of all, I think that's brilliant. But is it possible to be too human? You see Wendys and Denny's and other people like that, where they're like trolling people back and, playing games. Do you know what I'm talking about?
But it works for them.
That's true.
They found their niche. Yeah. And Wendys is an excellent topic, actually. The story behind it is amazing. Wendys decided to hire a new social media manager. And when they brought the media manager on, she was so frustrated by people's stupidity in general with their comments, and they could be hurtful, they were nonsensical. And one day she just was like, I've had enough of this, and she made a comment on the lines of, don't bring McDonald's into this just because you forgot that refrigerators existed for a moment. And it was a snarky, off the fly. She thought she was going to be fired for this comment. And it turns out the response was gigantic. And Wendy said, stick with it. It's brilliant. It's fabulous. We are snarky now. And that's what took them to another level on social media. Everybody knows the Wendy's tweets are the funniest things to read. So that's part of finding your human side. So Wendy's, they may be this family restaurant and all, but they're fun. They're willing to take the criticism, but they'll give it right back. And it worked for them. So with each individual business, find your voice and you stick with it. And that's what I help you do, is I help you find who you are and who you want to be. So you can be too human when you're bringing your personal life into it. Like, don't post pictures of your children and, oh, this is what I had for dinner last night. No, that you do on your private social media.
Yeah.
But on your business social media, you bring forth your personality and who you are. If I were sitting down across from you like I am from you right now.
Right.
That's what you want to bring forth.
Right. What, that's a very good point. Very good point. And a lot of companies are trying to do it, but everybody can't do it as well as Wendys. I think a lot of people just try and piggyback off what somebody else is successful with, and it doesn't always work.
It doesn't work that way because it's an individual personality. Mm-hmm. So you can't mimic a personality that's working for somebody else if it's not your personality, if it's not your voice.
Right. And that's the hard part, right? Finding your voice.
It is.
Yeah. And that's what you help people with.
It's exactly what I help people with. I have one client that I just love him to death. He is just an old soul, and when you sit down with him, he makes you feel so comfortable and so at ease. And we did a video that we put up on his Facebook, and at the end of the video, I was sitting there with my assistant. I'm like, doesn't he just have that dad feel to him, like he's Savannah Dad? She goes, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. That's my Savannah Dad now. And I'm like, right? And it was funny because he almost seemed like embarrassed. He was like, oh, I'm so sorry. But then he sent me an email after his birthday, and he was like, I spent time with my son, and now my son from Atlanta is coming down, and we're going to do this. And he actually wrote in the email, #, which is the hashtag, hashtag Savannah Dad. And I was like, there we go. He started to feel it. He's like, you know what, you're kind of right. And everybody that I've interviewed for his business, for testimonials, and has all said that he's almost like everybody. You can turn to him, you can ask him anything, he always answers the phone. Hashtag Savannah Dad. Like, that kind of became a little bit, slightly, what he represents, because that's how he is. He's a feel-good person, and that's a voice. That's something that you pick up on. So that's very important.
What's my voice? What would you say my voice is? We haven't met it. We've spoken a couple times. Exactly.
And I haven't had a chance to really, see your Facebook page and get to know you on a personal level. You and I've sat here. But if we were to go out to lunch and sit down and talk personally, let's take all the business out of it, I could probably peg you within a few hours.
Okay.
But it takes time. You can't develop your voice like overnight. You have to get to know the person really well. But you seem to have a witty sense of humor, so I would go with more of a humorous twist.
Okay.
At least based on first impressions.
I definitely do. My wife hates it too. She hates it. I get on her nerves all the time.
From humor?
Yeah. Just being witty. Dad jokes all day, every day.
Oh, there's nothing better than a dad joke. My dad had the best dad jokes ever.
There's a very famous Mexican magician. Okay. He says, on the count of 3, I'm going to disappear. 1, 2, poof. He disappears without a trace. Do you get it? No. Somebody's out there laughing. It's like disappears without a trace. 1, 2, trace.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Trace.
Sorry. Okay. All right. Back to business. What?
It took me a second. I speak French, not Spanish.
Back to business. Okay, so like, where do people start? So being human, but like, where do people start if they don't have the funds to hire you, if they don't have a social media person working for them? Like, where does a single owner small business start building their social media?
With a consultation.
Okay.
You want to get advice and help so that you build it properly, because if you put something out there that in the wrong spot, or you don't know how to fill something out properly, what it does is it turns your business page into a non-reliable source. So it's very important that from the start, when you create your business page, that you have it concisely done. And that's where if you can't hire a manager, not everyone needs someone to manage their social media.
True.
But sometimes people need help just to get it started. And that's when you bring somebody in for a consultation and you let them help you put it together and get it concise and accurate. And just the consulting job that I did last week, this gentleman only had 22 likes on his Facebook page, didn't even have a picture of himself, and within a week of me working on it and bringing it from this generic page that nobody knew what it was that he did into an actual business page, his likes went from 22 to about 150. All of a sudden people realized, oh, this is that guy that I hired. And he had like 6 reviews done in 6 days, less than 6 days.
Yeah.
And it finally became, and people are sharing his page nonstop because they've realized, oh, this is that guy that I hired, but they didn't know beforehand. So that's why it's important when you build your page, already know what you're going to do before you attempt it.
Do you suggest everybody have a Facebook page?
I suggest everybody has some sort of online social media presence. You're not ready for it if you're not ready to manage it, though. If you're not in a position to have the time to manage it and respond to your customers and clients, then you're not ready for an online presence, unless you can hire someone to do it for you. Because if you ignore a message, ignore a comment, or even a negative comment, it's basically ignoring a customer or not picking up the phone. Social media is almost like the way to call people now. They send you a Facebook message.
Right.
So when you don't respond to it, and Facebook actually has badges, and it'll tell you, respond quicker to your messages to receive this badge. And the badge is basically saying whether or not you're a credible business. So that's why it's important to be prepared for it before you do it.
That makes a lot of sense. I just started a new Facebook page, and all the back end stuff they have, I guess it is really helpful, like the badges and all the good stuff. So what about Twitter and Pinterest and Instagram? Like, do we need everything?
It depends on the type of business that you have. Anything where you take a lot of pictures, if you're a photographer, a wedding planner, if you have anything where you're taking pictures constantly, Instagram is a great tool. It's a wonderful place because you can share directly from Instagram and directly from Facebook and have them connect. So it's like getting 2 posts done in one step. If you do a lot of video, it's a great idea to have a YouTube channel, whether it's a tutorial or it's instructional. Only 9% of small local businesses, I should not say local, I should say 9% of small business owners are utilizing YouTube. And that's next to nothing.
Right.
So we have these teenagers on there doing makeup tutorials. They're making money off of that at this point. So why aren't small local businesses or any small business utilizing that tool to have their voice heard? And you can share YouTube videos on any platform.
Right.
Twitter is another one. It's a hit or miss with Twitter, in my opinion, and that's just coming from my experience. One wrong comment can go viral, and we see it all the time online with different people. They tweet something, they didn't think it through completely, and it's out there forever. Same thing with Facebook, but Twitter will get shared if you're friends with, because you can hashtag and it can connect to anybody.
Right.
Somebody has to be following you on Facebook to really see it.
That's true.
But if I'm following any celebrity and it's about a business and I just tweeted the wrong verbiage of something, and it can get construed into something completely different. So I'm very hesitant when it comes to small businesses with Twitter in the beginning.
Yeah.
But later on down the road, I think it could be a great tool if you're prepared for it.
Yeah, I never really got Twitter. I remember when it launched and started, and I just never understood it that well, I guess.
I was the same way. And I did start a Twitter account. And I did friend a lot of celebrities that, when I say friend, you start following and then sometimes they'll follow you back. And I thought that was so exciting, but it's not them. It's somebody managing their page for the most time. So it's the same thing. I just didn't fall into it. When it comes to business, I always say you want to start with the easiest, most basic thing that everybody knows until you get your voice heard. And the bigger you get, the more platforms you should consider.
Great points. Definitely great points. Awesome. Well, Bonnie, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'm glad. What would you like to tell business owners out there listening? Is there anything I missed?
About social media?
Yeah, about social media, yeah.
Take the chance on it. Your search engine optimization is so important. You have to beware of companies that promise. And I just had somebody come up to me yesterday, actually, at BNI. This poor man came up to me and said that he was spending $150 a month because this company told him that they would get him to the top of the Google search within 3 months. And they made him a million promises. And he said, they haven't delivered anything. They don't even have my correct address.
Oh, man.
And I said, it's a scam. And people fall for it constantly because they're guaranteed that search engine optimization. Nobody can get you to the top except yourself, and you have to do it organically. Right now, even millennials, they're too smart to hit that number one on Google because they know it's fake. It was placed there by these scam companies where everyone's going down to the 4th, 5th, 6th on the Google search because we know those are the organic ones with the real reviews. So it's very important that you really do your research, and when you take into consideration something like your search engine optimization, Google has that algorithm completely secretive. There's no magic tool to break the code. But there has been a direct correlation between how many likes and retweets and shares it seems to up you on that Google search.
Got you. That makes a lot of sense too. What that's cool. So I guess my issue then, I mean, just is like how do you get more likes? Like what is some stuff you could do to get more likes? Like I went through my business. I went through, asked all my friends and family to like it, but I've done like multiple stuff in the past, so they're probably tired of liking my stuff now. But what are some keys to getting more likes and to getting your Facebook page in the hundreds of likes and stuff like that?
Being human also includes remembering that it's not about your business. It's not about you 100% of the time. And the last time I was on your show, you did bring up the 80-20 rule. And that 80-20 rule applies to almost everything in life.
Right.
And you have to take that into consideration. 80% of what you're posting should be about your clients and customers and their interests. And only 20% of what you post should be about you and your business. So how are you going to get those likes? You post things out there that engage those clients and those customers. And now they're following you because either you're making them laugh, you're telling them something useful, they're following a recipe because you're posting those. That has nothing to do with you per se, other than your personality and things that you enjoy and they also enjoy. Then when you post something important to do with your business, whether for you it being a podcast or for another company being a sale that they're having, or a doctor's office, stating that it's like breast cancer awareness month or anything, you're going to get more likes because you've gained more followers because of the other things you've posted. That's how it all turns full circle for you.
You need your own show.
I don't know.
You definitely need your own social media show of some type. We'll figure that out though later.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, definitely. Because I mean, like, you have a lot of like, I said this before last time, but I love listening to you because you have like just concepts that people need to hear that people don't even understand about social media.
And it's important. It definitely is something that is important for businesses. We don't get the phone book anymore. I don't know about you. I haven't seen a phone book in my house in years.
No, thankfully, yeah.
We don't go to the yellow pages to find a contractor anymore. You go online and and the reason I love Facebook so much is because if you go onto Facebook and you go to that little search bar and put in handyman, what pops up? Everybody in your area that lists handyman as their trade, but then you have the option of seeing, we have 4 people in common. We have 12 people in common. Right. So-and-so recommended this person 3 years ago, and you're friends with this person. Right there are your completely organic contacts for a reference for that person.
Very true.
So that's why it's so important in today's modern world to have that online presence and get out there, because that's everybody, not just millennials anymore. It's people in our age group and older that have taken to Facebook looking for recommendations. You want to be one of those recommendations. You want somebody to say, hey, I'm looking for recommendations, and your name pops up. And that's how you get there.
I need more testimonials on my site. Maybe that's a key as well.
Definitely. The more testimonials you get, and don't be afraid to ask. If you've got a client, and people are so afraid to say, hey, can you give me a rating on Facebook? And I get it. You don't want to ask for people to like you,
right.
But when you've got a good rapport with somebody and you've worked with them before many times, it's okay. It's not rude. You can say, hey, listen, I've come to your house and I have worked in your place several times. How do you like my work? Can you reflect that on Facebook for me? It would be such a help.
Mm-hmm.
That's not rude. That is honest, and it's human.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what you need to do. Don't be afraid to ask people, hey, follow my page. Hey, can you rate me if we've worked together before? Give me a recommendation or a review.
Be human.
Be human.
That's a t-shirt. That's an SNS t-shirt right there. Be human. All right, cool. So we're going to take a quick break. What's the best way people go? No, I did have one more question.
Okay.
And I keep leaving it out. So so for a person like me who just generally, honestly, doesn't like social media that much, and I'd rather not even have a cell phone. So like what tips do you have for people who don't like being on social media and would rather be out networking with people to, like, are there tools that can help you manage social media without spending all your day on it?
There are so many options out there with social media, but if you're not going to pay attention to it on some level, then bring somebody in to help you. And it really depends on the level of social media presence that you want. It's completely customizable and personalized to what you need specifically. But not having anything whatsoever is not something I would recommend today, especially for a small business. If you're a big, gigantic business, Amazon, Google, everybody knows you already.
Right.
And they already have this huge online presence, but they're also paying social media managers upwards of $500,000 a year to manage it. So when you get small and you get local, if you just don't want to even look at it, bring somebody in to help you, because I think you'd be surprised.
500,000, really?
Social media managers for major corporations. And I looked this up for a presentation that I was doing. On the low scale level, a social media manager's salary starts at about $55,000 a year, and it can go upwards to $500,000 a year, depending on the size of the company and how many platforms they're managing.
That's crazy.
But they're also working 80, 90 hours a week.
True.
Because social media is 24/7. It is not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
That's true.
It is a 24/7
That's true.
job.
Another issue of golden handcuffs, where you're making a lot of money, but where do you have time to spend it? Can you get away from it? That type of thing.
Sure.
Cool. All right, we are going to take a break. Bonnie, what's the best way people can reach you?
Any way that they want. You can reach me on Facebook, shockingly, at facebook.com/@YourSNS. You can also reach me on my website at www.yoursocialnetwork.solutions, or you can call me directly at 912-844-0584.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you, Bonnie. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a second with the lightning round. I'm your host, Taraz. This is the Savannah Business Showcase. We'll be right back in a second. Welcome back to the Savannah Business Showcase. I'm your host, Taraz, and we are going to put Bonnie through the lightning round. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
First, so not the first question, but talk about networking a little bit, because we've both been here. I think this will be 2 years for me. You've been here 2.5 years, you said. And networking is really... it's really good here in Savannah. Like, it's a lot of people who are looking to help you. But, like, talk to me about, like, networking and your experience coming to a new city and, like, what you did and what you would suggest.
And I know exactly why you asked this question. We were actually talking during the break, and we had ourselves a little laugh here. I found on a Meetup app a business connection, and I clicked that I was going to go. And as I was watching the week progress and nobody else was clicking that they were going, and this gentleman wanted $15 for me to go to this business connection, I actually messaged him that morning and said, yeah, maybe I'm going to skip this week and wait until there's more people interested. And he wrote back, he's like, oh, no, there's going to be about 20 of us there. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go to this place. And this guy's just going to be like, okay, give me $15 because you've networked with me. And I had no idea what to expect. Well, sure enough, I walk into this building and I was inundated by people coming up. Hi, I'm so-and-so with so-and-so. How are you? Do you have a card? And I was like, put on a spot. There was no other way to describe it of, okay, what did I just walk into? And this is what, you and I were talking about during the break. It was a BNI meeting, which is Business Networking International. And I quickly learned there's about 12 chapters, I believe, in Savannah.
It's a lot,
It's a lot of chapters. And this was just a way to garner visitors to come in and experience it and fill what they call a lane. And a lane is the avenue that you pursue in your career. And you fill the lane in there. And it's a networking group where you refer other people. And that's how you get your business.
Right.
So after I was inundated by a bunch of strangers, handed a bunch of business cards. I don't even have a business card holder at this point in my career. And I was overwhelmed. And one of the funniest things, it was the president of our BNI came up and he was, said, I know this must seem like a cult to you. And that's exactly the word that had gone through my head of, what is this? And I know that now you're going to be joining a BNI chapter.
Join soon.
But it's not even just those chapters. They have events almost every single night in Savannah for networking.
Yeah.
And I've been to quite a few of them already and do it. It's amazing. I've had people that I've never even met in person come up, hey, aren't you Bonnie with Social Network Solutions? And I'm like, yes. And I'm racking my brain and they're like, oh no, I saw you at this networking event and I asked somebody who you were, or oh, I ran into this person and they told me who you were. So it's amazing how everybody knows everybody in a networking event, and that's why it's amazing here.
And I agree. And I've had a lot of BNI members on the show, and they're always really awesome. So that was a big reason why I decided to join, just because the group of people that are a part of it.
It's wonderful. I have never experienced anything quite like it, where they want you to succeed more than they want themselves to succeed.
Right,
you find yourself looking for people, because now I have 3 business card holders that are jam-packed with business cards, and I seek people out and I'm like, are you looking for anybody? What do you need? What do you need done? I know somebody who knows somebody. Do you know somebody? And it's like you just want to give out their card because it makes you feel good, and that's kind of who I am. I want to help somebody else.
Right. And that's kind of the key to success in anything, it's the giver's gain mentality.
Giver's gain, I was just going to say.
Yep.
Giver's gain.
It's a book I read a long time ago called The Go-Giver. I don't know if you ever heard of that. I'll get you a copy of it.
Okay.
But it's an amazing
that's
book.
BNI's,
it has a thing.
That's their core value. That's their number one core value is giver's gain.
Yeah. And it's true. I think it's true anyway. All right, so we're going to do the lightning round now. So we talked about this a little bit before. We'll go through some of the same questions. If you guys want to hear her other interview, you can go to the YouTube channel on Savannah Business Showcase and check out her real estate specific answers and questions and interview. But what did you want to be as a kid, and how does that relate to your current business?
I wanted to be a dancer as a kid, and I wanted to be a ballerina, but then I discovered I liked tap class more. So then I wanted to be a Broadway tap dancer, and then reality hit me, and I wanted to be amazing in whatever I did. So I tried different avenues. I loved jewelry. I was a manager for a jewelry store for a while, and I just wanted to have fun. I wanted a job that didn't feel like a job. It felt like me.
Yeah.
So, and I kept up with dancing. I teach part-time now. I still tap dance, so that's still a part of me. And when I discovered social media, that just became my path.
Yeah. And you're good at it. Humanizing people.
I love humanizing people. It's what I do.
Yeah. And you're good at it. You're definitely good at it.
Thank you.
And that's how I felt too. Like now when I wake up in the morning, the worst feeling about having a job, a 9 to 5, is Sunday night. When you got to wake up in the morning. I hate that feeling. Like now I work Sunday night, I work Saturday night, and I enjoy it.
Me too.
It doesn't feel like work. It's just me helping somebody and me creating, getting to do what I love to do. But I used to hate that Sunday night feeling.
When I worked a regular just 9 to 5, and it wasn't even 9 to 5, I worked in retail. So, we worked constantly.
Right.
But I always did have that. I got to make my schedule, and I picked Sundays off. Sunday night, I was always in bed. I couldn't fall asleep, or I was nauseous, and I just felt horrible. Did not want to go in the next day because I knew, everyone's going to call out. It's going to be a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
And now, same thing. Saturday night, I'm emailing clients. And I'm like,
Right.
you don't have to respond till Monday, but I'm sitting here doing the work. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the most beautiful thing about it, because you just don't have that fear. I think there's a word for it. It's probably like a German or Japanese word for it, but that
it's
feeling.
dread.
Yeah, that dread.
I think it's dread. Going in and clocking in. It's just that core tightening dread.
Right.
And now it's like I get up in the morning and the first thing I do is check Google Calendar, and I'm like, yes, I've got a meeting today, or I've got this, and I feel excited about it, which then
even
you know you're in the right spot.
Yeah, even if I'm up rushing at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning to finish something, it's still not that same dreaded feeling.
Exactly.
It's more of it's nervous, it's a little tense, but it's not that dread where I'm going to call in sick and just, let the cards, come out what they may. Anyway, how have you approached failure in life?
I've approached failure by walking away with my tail between my legs for maybe a day and then getting right back out there and trying again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the key, right?
It is. You have to try again, and you're going to take a beating. Mm-hmm. Everybody takes a beating. The very, very first client I ever signed up, with SNS, I took a beating, a big one, and I almost walked away, and I didn't. I just went back and I fixed what was wrong. And I discovered it was communication. There was a communication barrier. I didn't have a contract in place, and that's what fell apart, and I fixed it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you can't fix it. Well, you can repair, you can make the change. Just like you did, you created a contract. But sometimes you can't even, fix it. You just have to move on.
You do. And you do have to realize that sometimes it's okay if it doesn't work out with one particular client. You guys just weren't a match. But that doesn't mean you can't continue to help them. Mm-hmm. You can find the right match for them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or you can explain a better way or a better personality that might work for them. And I've had clients in that situation where I'm not able to speak in their voice. I'm not able to do exactly what it is that they need done. So I find somebody who can help them. And that's always worked out beautifully. Mm-hmm.
That's a great point. You can't fix every problem. But if you have like the connections like BNI, you can always match people up with who would be best for them.
Exactly.
And then you're still a help to them. Tell me a story about a failure.
Just like I said, my very first client, it was a complete failure. I signed up, everything was perfect. They wanted me to manage their social media. However, their expectations weren't something that I could deliver. They wanted their voice and posts being out there every single day with a success rate. And I learned very quickly that I didn't explain properly that I need the time to learn your voice. I need to build your page. I need to get to know you. I need to see the type of things that you post and build from there. So with only a month into it, this person deleted me on Facebook, blocked me, stopped calling, wouldn't answer her phone. And I realized over some time and struggling with that, like, what did I do wrong? Is I heard later on, it was, there weren't any posts going up and there was promises that weren't being kept. And what she didn't see was the behind the scenes of the folder that I created where I was having customized posts for and learning as she was posting and going not just from her personal page, but from her business page. And it was a complete communication breakdown. She didn't understand my process, but I also didn't explicitly explain my process, which is why I now have contracts that really explain my process and how it works.
So what advice do you have for an entrepreneur out there in a similar situation?
You've got to be concise. You have to really explain what it is that you do and your typical result. And if you need a contract, definitely have it, reviewed by an attorney. That's very important because you don't want to breach your own contract and you don't want your client to breach your contract. So have it be very simple, but very informative. And you both need to sign on certain points. I mean, on my contract, I have one section where, we don't discuss what a person pays because no two contracts are the same. There could be somebody that I'm working almost 40 hours a week on just their their page, they're obviously going to pay more for my services. Whereas somebody else, it may look like I'm doing the same amount of work because they have, but I'm only spending an hour a week on it. They're not going to pay as much.
Right.
So I have it very well defined. Like we both initial, I'm promising you just as you're promising me, but you're also initialing that you understand my process. And you also initial that if you have a problem or you have a question, you come to me and you communicate it with me and we will resolve it.
Yeah.
Because that's number one. Like you have to, with anybody that you work with, you have to have that full open communication.
True. Instead of just blocking somebody.
Yes.
Okay, let's do some other cool stuff. Some other cool questions. How do you stay motivated every day?
How do I stay motivated every day? Coffee. Coffee is queen in the morning. Don't call me before coffee because you won't understand the language coming out of my mouth because it's mumbled. But honestly, it's my clients that motivate me, and it's my drive and excitement for what I do. I love getting up, and I'm one of the lucky ones. I get to say I play on Facebook for a living.
Yeah.
So really, other than the coffee to get me going, there isn't that much motivation. It's already there. It's an excitement.
What is the hardest thing you've ever done?
In business or personally?
Either whichever story you want to tell.
Well, obviously in business, it would be starting my own business. That was the most scary thing I think I've ever done, is taking that leap.
Now, is this the first business you started? I know you were in real estate briefly, right? Well, it was the investing.
The first real business I've ever started with an actual company, and I have to pay taxes, and I have grown up things like a CPA. Right. I'm not even sure what that stands for. So that was like the big, I'm officially adulting moment. And I've had other things like I love to craft. So I'm a very crafty individual. So I make jewelry, and I've made home decor, and I've done little shows here and there, but nothing where it was starting my own business. This was craft shows or, a jewelry section in a store, but never my business.
Why was it so scary?
Starting it?
Yeah.
It's a huge commitment, and it's scary. I mean, anybody who goes into a venture like that, when you make that decision of I'm no longer working a 9 to 5 and I'm no longer doing this, I'm doing something completely on my own. Guess what? I can't fire myself. I have to keep going, and you have to really want to keep going, or it's not for you. Don't do it. And this is something that I've wanted to do for so long. And it was a friend of mine that said, then do it.
Yeah.
Do it. What are you waiting for? So I did it.
Yeah. Awesome. What do you miss most about being a kid?
Not having to pay any bills. Basically coming home and, mom's got dinner ready for you, and I didn't have to cook it, you know. Of course, everything from being a child is different. So you have to do it all on your own. And I feel like as adults, most of the time we pretend. It's like we think we know what we're doing. And I think every adult feels that way of you just kind of learn to do something and you're like, am I doing this right? I'm not even sure. I don't think we ever really, truly grow up. I think we're all still a kid at heart.
True. We talked briefly about the 80-20 rule. So for the new listeners out there, there's a concept called Pareto's Principle, the 80-20 rule. 20% of your actions equal 80% of your results. So in your business, what is the 20% that gets you the most results?
The 20% is you putting out your actual business and advertising, Facebook posts, things like that. When 80% is focused on your clients' interests and what they like, you get a bigger return on that 20% that you've put out there on you.
Gotcha.
So that's how that rule directly correlates with Facebook and social media. But in life in general and with business is the 20% of your clients that are making up 80% of your income are the ones that you've got to focus on and you've got to make them happy. So it's such a big correlation in just life in general. I mean, when they talk about find your 10 tasks and you want to do the top 2 that'll produce the most results. And
True.
So It's the same thing. I mean, it's funny how it just correlates into everything, that 80-20.
Favorite book? We talked about this a little bit last time. Yeah. Favorite book?
I did. Okay, I'm going to geek out a little bit. My favorite book, and I told you this, was J.R. Ward's The Black Dagger Brotherhood series. It is my quirky side. I do like vampire genre reading, but I also like mystery, so I'm a big Dean Koontz fan. Okay. I love him. Odd Thomas was wonderful. He's an amazing writer.
Awesome. We got a few more minutes, so I'm going to pull some more out. What did you do growing up that got you into trouble?
What did I do growing up that got me into trouble? Well, I once locked my best friend Lauren in my parents' dryer because her mother wanted her to come home and take a nap, and Lauren didn't want to. So I got in trouble for that one. And poor Lauren. Oh, she lives in Colorado now. This poor girl, I tormented her. I was an evil child, apparently. She made me mad one day, and we were climbing trees, because that's, what we did. And I was a gymnast and a dancer, so I knew how to, hang from my knees and flip off the tree branch, and she didn't. I used to have to help her down. Well, she made me mad one day, so I flipped off the tree and went home.
Oh, man.
Her brother found her at dinner time, in the tree, kind of crying. So I have no idea why this girl even talks to me to this day. So most of my troubles had to do with me doing something to Lauren. Poor girl.
That's funny. We all have those stories. I used to torment. I had a niece that would come over, and she was afraid of dogs, but I would bring her over real close to the dog next door. It was through a fence, so she wasn't in any danger, but she would just say it. I feel bad about that. Anyway.
I do too.
Yeah.
But you torment those you love.
Kids are jerks just in general.
Jerks in general, we are. Plus, I was the baby. My sister was older, and there was a 7-year age difference, and my mom had tried to have kids between us and couldn't. So I was the spoiled one. So I got away with more. So as an adult, I feel bad for my sister. I call her weekly, I'm sorry. Just because I'm sorry.
Okay. We'll do 2 more. Advice for entrepreneurial kids.
Advice for entrepreneurial kids. Like I said in the very first question is don't give up. Find what it is that you love and pursue it. You've got to keep fighting for it. If somebody tells you can't, then that's when you say, not that. That word doesn't exist in my vocabulary. I can.
And the last question, if you had a superpower or ability, what would you choose and why?
I choose the invisibility cloak. And I know you liked that answer the last time, and I actually thought about it even more.
Yeah.
And I do like the fact that it would be a cloak, because then I could take it off when I need to.
That's right. Cool. Bonnie, again, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming back and dealing with my random questions.
I love it. It's so much fun.
How can people reach you?
People can reach me at Facebook at Your SNS. I can be reached on my website at www.yoursocialnetwork.solutions, or you can call me on the phone at 912-844-0584.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you for being on the show again.
Thanks.
And thank you everybody out there listening. As always, be the change you want to see in the world. Go out there and do something impactful. Tell somebody you love them. And that's it. Love you guys. Talk to you next week. Bye.